Okay. It looks like we are live. What's going on, everyone? It's Camille Prosperity out of Savannah, Georgia. I really hope. Can you guys hear me as you come in? Whether you are watching with me live, I love the interaction that we had yesterday. But whether you're watching with me live or you are watching the replay, I really want you to, as you come in, tell me where you are watching from. Number one, because law of reciprocity, right? I did it for you. And it's always interesting for me to connect and bond with y'all by knowing, how and where you guys are located. But also, I want you to get used to understanding that what I say is applicable to me. Oftentimes, when I come on here and I talk about things, it is for what is going on in my state. So you will need to look up things for your individual state. Okay. Does that make sense? Hopefully, yes. And also, let me do a sound check right quick on my end just to make sure I am good. How has y'all, what is today? Is it Wednesday? Is it Wednesday? Yes, it is Wednesday. Oh my gosh, the time be going by so fast, y'all. Let me see here. Come on now. What's going on with y'all? How has y'all stay been? Let me just clear all of this out and come over here for a second. What we're going to be talking about today, guys, is first of all, are y'all following the YSL trial? The one that's been going on for like a year and a half. Are you following the trial? It got off to a really, really slow start. But guys, it's been about a year and a half now, almost 2 years, and it has really taken some crazy like twists and turns. Okay, I hear myself. Okay, I hear myself pretty good. Let me X out now because that's distracting. So it's taken some really wild twists and turns. And most recently, yesterday, there was actually a YSL lawyer who was suspended, not related to this case. The Young Slime Life, if you guys don't know what YSL stands for, it stands for Young Slime Life. This is the case with Young Thug, okay? So also, disclaimer, I am not a lawyer. I'm not a paralegal. I'm none of those things. I'm not giving you legal advice. This is strictly for entertainment purposes only. Entendido? Perfecto. Okay, so here's the deal with the trial. This stream is going to basically, it's not going to be an all-inclusive guide, but it's definitely going to give you some helpful tips for if you ever find yourself in need of a lawyer, certain things that you should think about or consider. Why did I want to do this stream today? Because I just listened to heartbreaking, and it's not that I have to say this again, disclaimer. I don't know I don't know the lady personally, but I just saw on another YouTuber's platform that there was a woman, a mother who has a son who's incarcerated, and she day before yesterday, she paid an attorney $15,000 to file a habeas corpus. Look that up if you don't know what it is, for her son's case to get her son out of jail. And the attorney took the money. The following day, within 24 hours, do y'all know that attorney was suspended by the State Bar of Georgia for 6 months? For 6 months. And this attorney had told her, "Oh, I'm gonna have your son home by next month," which is her son's birthday. Which I don't know how he could make that promise anyway, because there are so many things that go into a court case, so many different variables and factors. So I don't know why he would make promises like that. But can you imagine being that mother? If this is true, can you imagine being that mother and thinking to yourself, "Oh my gosh, if I could just go back to yesterday." I know there have definitely been times in my life, like during 2020. I remember I paid plane tickets to Aruba, and then the next week we found out that the world was shut down, and I only got back my money for half of that trip. And I was like, oh my gosh, if I just 1 week later, and I wouldn't be in this predicament, I wouldn't be in this jam. So I can only imagine how that mother feels with it being $15,000. So here is what we are going to do, because I really don't want to be on here long. I'm going to tell you this. I'm just going to tell you a few tips just off rip. This is very informal, just the notes that I took from a former lawyer who is retired and really puts people on game. Because see, now that he's out of the system, kind of, sort of, and he's more so YouTubing, he's spilling all the beans. He lets y'all know, and this is why I appreciate him. So it's the lead attorney, in case you are not familiar. He talks about it all the time, how lawyers are gangsters, and don't think that just because somebody went to law school and passed the bar and whatever, that they are actually smarter than you or doing a good job for you. They are what? Ladrones legales. They are legal thieves, y'all. They are legal thieves trying to get your money back from a lawyer. Even when they did something wrong. I have literally been in court and seen lawyers fired on the spot because their actions were so egregious. I have been in court and seen lawyers berated by the judge because the lawyers were basically up there making excuses about not answering emails from the judge's what you call it, like secretary lady. And the judge just got so frustrated, she was fussing at the lawyer like they were a 3-year-old. So don't think that just because somebody has Esquire after their name that, they're infallible, because they're absolutely not. All right. So some of the things that the lead attorney says, hey, John Davis, he said, hola, do we still, hold on. Yes, absolutely. I absolutely want you to type what state you are from, because today we're going to be looking at some stuff that applies for me being here in Georgia. And if y'all can, I want y'all to follow along and do the same thing. Find the website that I'm going to go over. I want you to find it for your state, just as a little fun activity. And definitely what I would love for you to do is drop the link in the chat during this live if you do find it for your chat, for your state, for all of those replay viewers later. So John Davis is in Texas, where they eat very, very well. I love going to Texas. And what's going on, Curtis Hairston? Hey, how are you? I'm doing pretty good. No complaints. It doesn't help to complain anyway, right? How are you doing, Curtis? And where are you watching from? Okay. So listen, we're just going to go into a few tips really, really quickly about what the lead attorney says. If you ever find yourself in a position where you have to hire a lawyer, consider this. And the lead attorney does preface it by saying you want to educate yourself to a certain extent, even if you have to hire a lawyer, because it is really easy for somebody to snuff you, to scam you, when you have no clue what you are doing, what they are doing. Okay. So, there are certain things that you do want to become familiar with. Like, for example, if a lawyer charges by the hour, it would behoove you to record the phone calls, right? And keep your own ledger. Because if they say, oh, when I called you on Monday, that call was 30 minutes. And if you don't recall at all, it being 30 minutes. Let's say they said it was 45 minutes. And you only spoke to them during your lunch break that was only 30 minutes. But they booked you for 45 minutes. That's a problem, right? That's 15 minutes over. And a lot of times these lawyers' fees, their time is super expensive. Everything is expensive. If they make a photocopy, it's super expensive. So that 15-minute difference added up over time could make it just could take chunks out of your retainer. So a lot of people, if you ever had to retain a lawyer before, that retainer oftentimes does not cover the full cost of the case. And it's not cheap. So these are things that you want to think about. These are things that you want to do. These are things that you want to be a part of in the conversation if you have to ever get a lawyer. Does that make sense to y'all? Let me, hold on. What is that? Okay, let me take this off for a moment. And then I'm going to go right back to the comments and just catch up right quick before we get into some other stuff. All right, so Tiffany Shockney, you're watching from Las Vegas. Okay, so you're going to look up what I'm talking about for Nevada. And then what's going on, Supex from Massachusetts? We got Stay Focused. What's going on, Stay Focused? You're in Texas also with John Davis. How are you? Been missing your lives. Been going through, but I'm getting better. So thank you. I've been missing being live with y'all. I did cut like 2 ones recently, so you can go back and check those out, like them, share them, please. So yeah. I'm back. Okay, y'all help me out so much. I cannot just drop off like that again. All right, so listen. Again, if you're watching, drop where you're watching from. So even if you absolutely have to hire a lawyer, and eventually what we want to do is get to the point where we want to get to the point where if we go to court, remembering that the goal is to win court before you even have to go, right? But if you have to go to court, you want to be the one. You want to be solo dolo, representing yourself as a competent living soul, okay? A competent living soul. But if you have to hire a lawyer, and especially in matters that are involving criminal affairs, maybe some of your family members have gotten into a little bit of trouble. It's super easy to get into trouble with all of these laws, codes, statutes that we have going on, because this is just legalized slavery. That's basically what the courts are doing, legalized slavery for many, many reasons. But if you have to retain a lawyer, what the lead attorney recommends, not legal advice, just suggestions. He's like, don't even fool up with nobody if they're under the age of 35. He is unapologetic about saying that. I know that society, for the most part, celebrates people that are young and youthful and da-da-da-da. But in the legal area, in certain areas, medical, legal, you want somebody old. You want somebody who's been around the block a few times, because there are just certain things that only experience can teach you. Up until that point, you're dealing with someone who really only has theory, right? But they haven't been tried and true, and they haven't been through the fire, right? So I really like that tip about getting a lawyer who's at least 35 years old. Now, he also suggests getting a referral from someone that you know personally. This is huge. Y'all, we have been trained to be like, oh, I looked at the Better Business Bureau. Oh, I looked at the Google reviews. This is the thing with Google reviews. You guys do know that anybody, just like when somebody publishes a book on Amazon and then they're like, I was a bestseller in 1 week. And you're like, okay, bestsellers must not be what they used to be then. Because everybody a dang on bestseller. I just don't get it, right? I don't understand. So the reason why that is because oftentimes you can incentivize people to leave a review for you. So that means, like, if I were to open up an LLC with the Secretary of State tomorrow and then get a virtual office, list my business on Google, I could go have my family members, my friends, heck, I could have y'all, I could say, hey, listen, go leave me a Google review. And businesses frequently do this. They will offer you a 10% off discount. They will offer you services. They will offer you a partnership. They will offer you all types of things to leave a positive review. So a lot of times those reviews are fudged. Think about it. In this area that we live in now with social media and cancel culture, how many times have you seen where somebody says something online that the masses didn't like, and then those people attack that person's business and leave negative reviews, even though they've never been there, just to cancel that person? If you don't believe me, go look it up on YouTube. There are so many businesses that are like, y'all, please stop. Just because I didn't service your favorite celebrity to their liking, your entitled celebrity, or because I didn't do this or that, y'all are killing my business. My Google reviews are, and you can see it on the reviews. Oftentimes they're totally unrelated to the business. They'll be like, stop talking bad about fill in the blank celebrity. And that has nothing to do with the business. So you really got to watch those Google reviews. The other thing, okay, John Davis mentioned this before. I think my older brother once got in trouble. Public defender. For those of you who do not know, a public defender is not an attorney that you hire yourself. It is an attorney that you are, that is assigned to you by the court because you can't afford an attorney, but you want representation. So, it's like sleeping with the enemy, kind of, sort of. But if you don't have a choice, you don't have a choice. So he says, my older brother once got in trouble. Public defender negotiated a plea for 7.5 years. Dad hired private attorney who looked up the statutory max that was 5. Y'all see that, right? Y'all see that, right? Dad hired a private attorney who looked up the statutory max that was 5 years. He did 1.5. Let me tell y'all something about public defenders. Let me tell y'all something about attorneys for the most part, period. All they do is procedure. They don't care about what is right. They care about getting paid, and they care about getting plea deals. A lot of times the state, everybody who walks through that courtroom, they want to be found guilty. They want you to be shaken in your boots, and they want to make it seem, and this is why, like, the publicity and the media surrounding court cases, you oftentimes hear of people receiving, like, guilty people going to jail, or people getting sentenced for really, really long periods of time for the smallest crimes. And it's fear mongering to make you not want to go to court. Or even if you're not guilty of the crime, plead to it just so that you'll get shorter time. See, in any other, think about this. In any other area, we would call that bribery, wouldn't we? Wouldn't we call that bribery? Hey, listen, we don't know whether you did it or not, but if you say you did it, we'll give you 5 years. But if you go to trial and the jury finds that you're guilty, then you can get up to 3 times that. Most people say, like I remember Wall Street Trapper was saying when he went to jail, there would be regular conversations about people who say, I got another 10 years in me, I got another this year. People who often got in trouble knew they would be in trouble again, because then once they got out, they were on probation for a certain amount of time. So they would do the calculations on how many years of life they had to live for how much time they could do, knowing most people pretty much think that if they go to trial, they're going to be found guilty anyway. So then you're kind of like bargaining with yourself before they even present the plea deal. Do I just take this short thing that's going to be shorter, or do so I can get out and live my life and still see my kids grow up and hopefully still have a happy marriage? Or do I roll the dice knowing that this game is rigged and I'm probably still going to be found guilty, and now they're going to sentence me to the max for what they call utilizing the court resources, which is a joke. It's just lawyers are mostly there to get you to do a plea deal. Outside of criminal affairs, family court, real estate, all those other lawyers are there because they know the procedure of the court. They know how to put in motions. They know how to present evidence. They know the rules for that particular court. And every judge, every court sometimes has their own rules. You don't know this stuff. You don't know this stuff. So, it's a really crazy game. I hate that happened with your brother. I'm happy he only had to do 1.5. Wow. That's a drastic difference, y'all. 1.5 versus 7.5. That's a difference of 6 years. That means if John's brother was 20, I'd rather get out at 21, almost 22 years old, versus getting out at 26. I'd rather get out in my early 20s versus knocking on 30. Wouldn't you? Of course. So, yeah, you want to get a referral from somebody that you know personally, ideally. I want to mention another thing about Google reviews, because a lot of times you guys do not know this. I didn't know until I knew. Not only do people fake and fudge the Google reviews by getting people that they know to put Google reviews in, but if a real person, do you guys know that there's software out there that people can put like on their websites? Have you ever seen it, how Google has the reviews, and then a lot of times you can go to a specific person, business page or services website, and they have extrapolated the Google reviews and they're running on their website? Have you guys ever seen that? If you think about it, I'm sure you have. So in that case, when you see somebody pulling the Google reviews from the Google site, they can put a middleman software in there so that the software suppresses all reviews below a certain ranking. So I'm not saying this happens for every single site that there is, but there are instances where you'll go to a person's website and they're flashing the Google reviews, and you're like, oh my gosh, every review is a 4 or a 5. That's because they program the middleman software that pulls that Google review to suppress all reviews that are 1, 2, and 3 stars. Did you know that? Let me know in the chat down below. Have you heard of that before? I forgot the name of the software. I'm sure it's more than one, but I didn't find out until I took a business mentorship, and I was like, oh my goodness. Wow. So again, the unseen is always greater than the seen, and don't believe everything that you see. All right. So get a lawyer that you have been referred to by someone who has had a personal experience with them, and that you can then and even that's not foolproof, but it is better than just going by a Google review. Okay, does that make sense? Now the next tip is do they have staff? Oh my gosh, this is huge. So what you're going to see is the YSL, the Young Slime Life lawyer attorney that I'm talking about, he represented one of the most infamous witnesses in this case, Woody, right? And the attorney is Melnick, right? So Melnick is actually suspended for a case from it's like a child support case a few years back, but he's been reprimanded by the state bar like a few times before. And it was earlier on in his career. I think he's been bar licensed for like 1994. So he's been reprimanded a few times in his career early on. And one of the things was people were saying he did not have case management software, which is huge because you cannot run a law office if you're taking 50 cases and people have all of these moving parts. You can't do that with just an Excel spreadsheet, right? But some lawyers starting out, remember, we want somebody 35 plus. They got a little motion, right? So that they can have some systems and employees in place. But when they're first starting out, a lot of times they do what anybody else tries to do. They try to cut costs. So what Melnick did was he didn't have case law management software in place, and he didn't have staff. And at that time, I think it was estimated that out of 30 days in the month, he was in court like 15 to 20 days. So if you're in court all of that time, who is following up with the clients? Who is doing all of the admin work? If you haven't hired a paralegal because you can't afford it or you're too cheap to get it, then who's doing all of that other necessary office work while you're in court? And the lead attorney made a good point. He said clearly he had the money to do it. If he was in court all that time, he should have had the money to hire somebody. But if he didn't, nobody can speak to why he didn't. But I'll tell you this. You want to be careful of hiring an attorney who doesn't have a staff. If you walk in and their office is appointment only and you never see anybody else working in there, beware. Buyer beware, because that means they're doing everything. And if they're doing everything, they are going to miss something. I'll tell you right now about a personal experience I had with an attorney regarding an issue with a former employer. I had been done wrong. I'm just going to make this short. I had been done wrong. I went to the attorney and told him, all of the facts, right? And I wasn't the only person done wrong. It was a number of us. So I went to him and told him all of the facts. He was like, oh my gosh, I had a case similar to this. We just won. So I'm feeling good. Like, I knew it. And so he takes my information, and this is when I'm in my early 20s. So I didn't know all the stuff that I know now. But in his office, he did say he had one paralegal, and he said, but she just got pregnant. Why am I bringing that up? I'm bringing that up because that attorney dropped the ball on my case. And when there was a period of time where I was trying to follow up with him, but life was lifing. And then there was a period of time where his communication went completely dark. Guys, by the time he reached out to me, which was about 10 months after I had initially contacted him, but probably like 6 months after our last communication, by the time he reached out to me, he was like, hey, yeah, Kim, I've been meaning to call you. Well, my paralegal has been out because she's pregnant. So everything has been on me. And I just got around to your case, and we're past the statute of limitations now. Wait, what? Y'all, I was pissed. I was so pissed. And I remember I was at a Les Brown conference, and I was thinking to myself, wait, what did you say? And he said, it's very loud, can I call you back in an hour? I was like, yeah, I'll be done in an hour. And he never called back. And when I called him back, he didn't pick up. Now, did I pay him? No, because he said he was like, you definitely have a case. You're going to get paid out of the proceeds from when I can get paid out of the proceeds from when we win, because I just won a case similar to this, and you have a case. So I was very, very happy about that. Now, had I paid him, could I have got my money back? Chances are no, because y'all, attorneys are what? Ladrones legales. They're legal thieves. You ain't getting your money back from no attorney. Are you crazy? So that was a case that I had that I should have been compensated for. But because of the attorney and it being past the SOL, statute of limitations, I didn't have a case. The case that I had, I didn't have. It still burns me up to talk about that to this day, because again, that was not just an injustice against me. It was a number of us. And we were trying to come together to hold this employer accountable. But horrible experience. Had I known then what I know now, the minute I went there and saw that it was just him and one paralegal and she was pregnant or whatever the case may be, I would have just taken my case to someone else. So that's not to discriminate against pregnant women, but you have to be logical and you have to think about the logistics of how it's going to work. What's going on, David James Bryce Jr. here in Georgia with me? I think I asked you the last time. I don't remember you responding. What part of Georgia though? Are you down south, like Savannah-ish area, or are you up there in Atlanta? Let me know in the ATL. So yeah, guys, you want to pay attention to their staff, because one of the things that the lady who paid $15,000 to Melnick alleged, she was like, he meets us at Lenox Mall. He's by appointment only. It's not anybody else working. Oftentimes, I was working on my case. She said she was going to get affidavits for people to testify in her son's case. She was doing a lot of the legwork. And on top of, and here's the thing, she only gave him $15,000 to start the case. She was told it was going to take him $25,000 to $30,000 to file the habeas corpus, to do the habeas corpus process. 15. So 15 was just to start. And she told him, because she wanted her son home so badly, she told him, I will do the work for you. Just tell me what you need. She was like, because I've dealt with him before. Y'all drink y'all water today. Speaking to John Davis's situation, she said, I had dealt with him before. As a matter of fact, when I went to go, when her son was initially charged, she said that Melnick was the attorney, and they did it was something really, really weird, where initially her son was only supposed to do like 2 years, and then Melnick got involved, and then he ended up getting 8. So she did not want to go back to Melnick for the habeas corpus. She went to other lawyers, and they referred her back to Melnick, since he was the one that worked on the original case. So she kind of sort of didn't have a choice. Plus, there is a statute of limitations to do a habeas corpus, and hers runs out like in a few months. So she didn't really have a whole lot of time for back and forth stuff. So she went back to Melnick, even though she didn't want to, because he got her son more time than he was supposed to get. And then Melnick, she's having a hard time getting Melnick, like pinning him down. So she's like, hey, listen, I need to get you this money so that you can start on the case. And he sends the link. She puts $15,000 on her credit card. The next day she finds out by watching the news that he's suspended from practicing law for the next 6 months. That means he can't practice law until January. Keep in mind the statute of limitations for her to file a habeas corpus for her son. It's somewhere around October, November. So she can't wait on his suspension to be lifted. And even if she could, would you want a suspended attorney lawyer to work on your case? Probably not. I hope not, right? Attorneys already have a bad reputation, but to be suspended is just like next level, right? So that's that with paying attention to the staff, okay? Okay, so that's pretty much it. Let me show you guys what let me do a screen share right quick, because I want to show you how you're going to look up an attorney or a lawyer's status in your area. A lot of us have never been exposed to this. I was exposed to this today. I've heard about it, but I've actually never looked into actually doing it for real. Y'all can see the screen share, right? Okay, I see it just went through. So every single state, this is why as y'all come in, I say, what state are you watching from? Again, replay viewers, if you haven't done so already, y'all interact with me. Every time you drop a comment and you interact with the stream, it helps to push it through the algorithm on YouTube. So if you appreciate me showing up, then show up for your girl. And at least do the very easy things that I asked you to do, like tell me where you are watching from. So I think I only have one Georgia peach in here, and that is my brother David James Boyce Jr. So David, you can look into this. Everybody else, I want you to, if possible, go look up state bar of, and then put your state in there. And when you find the link, drop it in the chat down below. Let me know that you are actually participating. So Supek should look up State Bar of Massachusetts. Tiffany should look up State Bar of Nevada. John should look up State Bar of Texas, right? And so this is how you can look up an attorney. And this is public information. I'm not like putting anybody on blast, but I'm going to use the example today because this is something that people are doing on their own anyway. Okay. Hold on one second. So the what you call it? Let me show you exactly what I was talking about. And let me ask you guys while I am grabbing this name, did y'all know about this? Did y'all know about this website? Have you ever been to this website? Again, most times people don't look into anything until something is wrong. We don't know about stuff proactively. We know about it after the fact. So, let me see here. Let me see. Goodness gracious. So, all right, you plug in, you can just put in the name there. If you have this information right here, you can plug that in as well, but it's really not necessary. So I'm doing the advanced search. I'm going to apply it and it pulls up the person right here. Okay. It tells you everything about, it tells you, how the site basically works. It's going to show an attorney's public disciplinary history from 91 through 2024. Oh, okay, with one exception, this site does show whether, with one exception, this site does show whether an attorney was disbarred at any time prior to August 2024. Okay, so anyway, you can read that on your own. But this right here, this is Woday's attorney. And then when you look it up, you can see, let me do this. That and again, all of this is public information. Like this is Googleable. Okay. So did y'all know about this site? When you look here, you can see that the suspension that I'm talking about hasn't even hit the record yet. He was actually suspended at the time that the woman paid him. Why? Because he was suspended for not complying with this is like continued learning education. So lawyers and oftentimes people in the medical field as well, they have to do something called CLE, which is where they basically have to do continuing education every single year. Why? Because things change, laws change, rules change, things change. The world is constantly evolving and they want to be assured, certain regulatory boards and agencies want to be assured that if you're in specific industries, that you are on top of your game. Okay? You're on top of your game and you're up to date with your knowledge to best serve the public, supposedly. Really, it's just a money grab. Everything is about money, right? Commerce. But he was already suspended before she paid him. This is why I wanted to do this live, because if she had known about this and she had looked this up, even though this judgment recently is not being noted, this prior, not judgment, but even though this action, this disciplinary action that recently happened yesterday is still not showing in the system, he had another issue before that even. So if she had seen this, she would have known, like, yeah, don't pay him. And so I don't know if you click on this. So that didn't do anything. Let me see here. Okay, this just takes us, when we clicked on that, all right, so it took us back to that whole disclaimer that I read earlier, but then right here, when it says, yesterday's suspension is in there. Okay, yesterday's suspension is on here, but he still had the CLE, this suspension prior to that as well. So I tried to open it up just now and it gave me an error for his suspension. So I can't open it up. But there was paperwork that the lead attorney read where it went into the details of his suspension, and it was pretty egregious, guys. He basically had, I'm going to come back on screen now. he basically had it was a child support case, and he represented the mother. I hope I don't misquote this, but he represented the mother, and the father had an attorney as well. There was some back and forth. He was not efficient. He was not just efficient at communicating things to his client, probably because he didn't have what? Staff and a case management system. See? So again, if you're juggling too many balls, eventually one is going to fall. So he was not efficient in communicating with her the outcome. The mother ended up having to pay the father for an overpayment of child support. She had to pay that within like 30 days. She didn't get that information. Needless to say, she didn't pay within 30 days. There was a hearing. He didn't tell her about the hearing. I mean, it was just all messed up. Now, here's a gotcha on top of everything else. She had paid him $7,500, $7,500 for him to represent her. Imagine paying somebody $7,500 to represent you, and they're not even telling you what's going on with your case. Would that have you pissed off? And because of them, you miss court and you miss paying something that you have to pay. Otherwise, you get in trouble. After all of that, she had to actually go to another lawyer and get that lawyer to reach out to him to say, hey, bruh, listen, my lawyer, bro, I got your client here. She wants to file a bar complaint against you. And from what I can see, this is going to be a problem for you. He had to do that to get Melnick to even give back any of the money. And Melnick still gave her back not the full amount. So when I say like attorneys, they're ladrones legales, man. They're legal thieves for real. They're paid to steal. It was just all messed up, and it's unbelievable. So needless to say, Wode, once he found out that Melnick had been suspended that morning, he was in the middle of testifying. And when they came back from break, Wode was like, listen, I just found out I'm here without being represented. I don't want to testify no more. So the judge said, well, we're going to assign you a public defender, and he should be able to be here tomorrow. So I think that was yesterday, so that should have been today. I did not watch the trial replay, for today. I'm going to do that sometime tonight, probably while I'm getting ready for bed and stuff. But it's just all very interesting how the court works. It's just a big play. It's just a big charade. It's just a big play for your dollars. It's just a big way to keep you ignorant, in fear, and enslaved monetarily, mentally, all of the above. And I know that when we have these discussions, this is a lot of information, but you got to start having these conversations now, because once you know it, then you can expose your children and other people in your circle to it, so that not if, but when they find themselves in these situations, they're not just completely overwhelmed, because there's so many moving parts. Imagine if this were a part of the dinner conversation. Not every night, but at least some nights, instead of everybody just always binge watching Netflix. Seeing who matched up on The Love is Blind, it's fun, but it's not going to make a difference in your life like knowing this information will. And you just got to start bit by bit by bit. Most of us, what they say, the average person will live until their 60s or their 70s. I don't know how many times you're going to have to go to court. It just depends on your lifestyle. But knowledge like this, once you get it, you got it. And it's priceless to even be able to walk into a courtroom and not fear every single little thing is a huge deal. It's a big deal. To know how to answer a complaint is a huge deal. It's a big deal. I already told you that the majority of cases are won not legitimately, but by default, because most people never answer, never show up, never nothing. Never nothing. Hey, Trey Johnson, you said priceless. I'm really telling you that. And when you can't afford a lawyer, but you can answer your own case, again, This is something we need to be able to do. And this is why when you look at social media and you see, oh, they're training us to have shorter attention spans. They're training us to write in smaller characters. All of that is by design, y'all. Please don't get it twisted. Your children, they don't want your child to know how to write a complete thought with proper punctuation, upper and lower case. They don't want your child to understand that. So it's so important that you be the guiding light in their lives to make them do that. I was at the post office not too long ago, and there was a young woman there. When I say young woman, I mean probably like 2 or 3 years younger than me. And she was so embarrassed because she didn't know how to address an envelope. So I showed her. But there were people in the line looking at her like, oh my God. But she didn't come up. Clearly, I remember being little and having to write letters to family members. Thank you so much for coming. Write thank you notes for my graduation gifts, for birthday gifts, for whatever. People don't do that anymore. They send an e-card or an email or a text. So you don't know what you don't know until you know that you don't know it. And so these are things that we have to do. There was something else, and I was trying not to end the live. There's something else that I was thinking about. Yeah, so they're trying to get your attention spans shorter. And thank you, Lord. So it's so funny because these attorneys, they really know that we are ignorant about this stuff. I was in a mentorship one summer, and we all were like putting in arbitration cases, and we were in this group, and we were talking about arbitration and putting in arbitration cases. And then oftentimes, because the creditor was funded by an underlying bank, you know, when you have a credit card, right? You can have like a Best Buy card. Who does the Best Buy card? Citibank. So if somebody else has another card and you look at the bank underneath that card, it's Citibank. That meant that if I had a grievance with Best Buy and this mentee had a grievance with their company, but the underlying bank was both Citibank, we're both hitting the company and the underlying bank. Why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this, y'all, because all of us in the group came to that group because we had different situations. But the underlying banks, for many of us, ended up being the same bank. Y'all, why? Why, even though we put in different complaints in our arbitration, why were these banks coming back with the same standard form letter to reply to the different complaints? They were giving the same reply to the different complaints. All they were doing was changing the name. Hey, Kim. And so then we refute all claims based on blah, 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 blah. So then it would be another letter. Hey, Trey, we refute all claims you allege based on blah, 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 blah. And then when we put the letters side by side, and the only way we could do that is because we came together as a community, because we were in that group together. When we looked at the letter side by side, we said, this is the same freaking letter. They basically, and they respond quickly. Why? Because they ain't really responding. Excuse me, they got some little fresh law student who they probably hired for pennies on the dollar, who just, needs to get their foot in the door. They ain't respond. They just taking the name off of one letter and changing it and sending it to a different address. They ain't even looked at your complaint because they really don't think you about this life. They don't think you're going to go through with the arbitration case. They don't think you're going to go through with the court case. They're calling your bluff. So oftentimes we'll be there handcrafting our case, taking time, doing due diligence, and then next week they got a response back in the mail to us, and we're like, oh, they responded and they said I'm wrong. Did you really read it? Hell, Melnick even said when he responded to the complaint about the woman with the communication, he was like, I don't think I'm in the wrong. Even though he didn't even acknowledge her until another lawyer got involved and said, hey, bro, you got a problem here. Before that, he paid her dust. When she came as a client, like, hey, you did me wrong. You didn't tell me about boop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop. He wasn't trying to hear it. But when another lawyer rang his line and said, bro, hey, Houston, we got a problem. Then and only then did he act and give the client back some of the money, but not all of the money, and had the nerve to put in his complaint. Excuse me. Yeah, he didn't feel like he did anything wrong. He still took care of it. Da 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 da. That's wild to me. So Trey Johnson said, Alafia? Alafia, I don't know what that means. Yes, I've been learning more and more about USC and UCC, and learning it's not what we really think it is. It is really not. It's really, really not. And all of these statutes and these codes, again, it's just modern day slavery. It's just a way for them to get money out of us. And the more, and basically take away our time, take away our life. But the majority of us do not make money with our mind. We make money with our muscle, with our hands, with our time. It's not our mind, it's our time. So if you work 40 hours a week and you get $15 an hour, you know, a speeding ticket for $300, paying a lawyer a $5,000 retainer, that's a good little chunk of your money, especially in this economy and inflation, when people are living paycheck to paycheck. So they know one of the biggest ways to cripple people, to keep them under their thumb, is to hit them in the pockets. You can't even think straight when you incur a loss like that, paying all these fees and fines and all this stuff. When you incur a loss like that, you have to do what? Go to work overtime. Now you're sleepy. Now you're frustrated. Now you're tired. Now you're hangry. You can't even think straight. So it's much easier for you to do what? Commit another crime. Why do you think a lot of people get into crime? Because they're trying to figure out a way to life. So they might end up doing some nefarious things. And once they get you one time, they're counting on getting you again and again and again and again. I remember when I was in college and I was on probation because I think I had something. It was some little traffic infraction, not an accident, just I don't know, stop sign, something like that. It wasn't even speeding. And but I couldn't pay the ticket when I went to court. I couldn't pay the ticket. They put me on probation, and then I had to pay a probation officer every month to basically go to the probation officer and be like, yeah, I still can't pay it. Okay, well, pay my fee and I'll see you next month. Go next month, come. Yeah, I still don't have the money. Okay, well, pay my fee at the window and I'll see you next month. After a while, I was like, man, this is some bullish. Let me come up with the money to pay this stupid behind ticket so I can stop coming down here. Like, why am I on probation office? Why I got a PO like I'm some unruly, unlawful person out here? That pissed me off to the highest. And I'm in school trying to pay tuition and books and all this stuff. And because, I think it was something like the cop said I did a rolling stop, not a full stop. So you see, when they have all this stuff, this is all about money, y'all. I'm getting so worked up because it's so frustrating. This is all about money. And you owe it to yourself to do like Trey and study. I don't care if you only got 30 minutes a week. Over 5, 10, 15 years, it's going to add up, and you'll know better 5, 10, 15 years from now than you did today. Does this make sense? I sure hope so. Tiffany said, facts. I ain't seen not nobody drop a link in the chat like I asked. I don't know if y'all are working, driving, what, but at least you're here. Again, before you leave this live stream, hit the like button if you like this. Share this with someone. If you have to ever hire a lawyer for something, come back to the stream. Oh, and another thing the lead attorney saying, just speaking to the fact that lawyers are thieves. He was like, y'all don't understand. When I got out of law school, he said, because there's different divisions of law. You got real estate law, entertainment law. You might have patent law, contract lawyers, the family law, criminal law, all types of stuff. And so he was like, man, when you first get out of law school, you know what you are? You a door. Your area of expertise is door law. And so his sidekick AV was like, yeah, that's whatever walks through the door, you're their lawyer. And yeah, that's basically it. Whatever walks through the door, they're taking it, even if it's not their area of expertise, which is very, very dangerous. Again, get somebody 35 and older who has a specialty. All right, because if you get, say, I don't know. Oh, look at what Tasha K did. She got, did she get a criminal lawyer to go against Cardi B? Or was it she got the wrong type of lawyer though? Yeah, Olga. And look, Cardi B got that judgment, and the judge even like reprimanded Olga verbally in court and was like, you need to go back to law school. That's crazy because that was not her expertise. That was not her, that was not Tasha K's lawyer's expertise. So a lawyer will make a fool out of you in court, but they will take your money and they will keep it because they still did the job, even albeit horrible, they will take your money. So you want to get a lawyer with a specialty, you want to get a lawyer with some experience, some gray hairs under their belt, you know what I'm saying? Um, but yeah, dang it, I lost it again. What I was going to tell y'all, it's going to come back. Let me see what Supek said. Once they get you once, yes, they can't wait to get you again and again and again and again. So true. Because that's why I like what they call it? Probation. Yeah, probation is a joke. Probation is a joke. They know when they give you probation. That's why they'll be like, oh, well, you can do 2 years and 8 years probation. They're gonna get you again. They're going to get you again. You can't even be around somebody. You know, a lot of people like the felons, they'll get locked up again because they were in the vicinity of a gun. And it could be they didn't even know that somebody had a gun on like, how can you be responsible for a whole nother human being? Make it make sense. But yeah, it's just a way for them to have you still on that leash. And so yeah, for plea deals, they'll often negotiate very long probationary periods because they want to get you again. What was I just talking about? I should have wrote it down. I already told y'all about the mentorship. I wanted to get it before okay. Probation, court, rolling things, filing, crap. I don't remember. As soon as I hit in live stream, I know it's going to come to me. Do y'all have any questions about what I shared? Was this interesting to y'all? Did you learn something? Because I was saying, share this with somebody, filing in court. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I don't know. My head be going too fast. Anyway, I'm just going to end it. I'll talk about it another time. Dang on it. I don't know. I'm not sure. Anyway, y'all, thanks for jumping on. You think you missed the link for the membership? It was not my membership. It was a membership long ago. It was an arbitration membership. Let me know if that's what you're talking about. There's quite the delay. What are you talking about? I don't have a membership. I was a part of an arbitration membership, and that's where I saw that these lawyers really don't be lawyering. They be copying and pasting. And thinking that you Bobo the fool. And if you don't read, then you are Bobo the fool. As I showed y'all in my broadcast, if y'all did not see my broadcast like 2 or 3 days ago about the statute of limitations, a debt collection letter was sent, and on the very back in very small print it said, oh, by the way, this debt is past the statute of limitations, but if you call and agree to pay, that resets the statute of limitations. So basically everything in the front was BS. And just because we're not reading, we're not paying attention, on the front of it, it said, if you do nothing, then we're going to assume this debt is valid. On the back of it, it said, this debt is out of the statute of limitations. So you really don't owe it unless you call and say you owe it, because then that'll reset the statute of limitations. So we got to start reading, y'all. You have got to have these conversations with your kids. Please start making your kids read books. Let's go back to the days of them writing book reports, because right now the computers are autocorrect and stuff. They need to know how to properly communicate. All this, huh? What you say? Man, the courts are loving it. We are raising a generation of dummies for the most part. People that just want to be on TikTok, they love that. They love that. So, I mean, and we're in this day and age where you can literally watch Zoom court. And I want y'all to go watch Zoom court and see how people represent themselves. See how people show up in court. People don't even dress up for court anymore. And I'm not saying you have to get fly to death, but people don't even understand. Court is a show. It's a play. You need to show up as an actor just as much as they do. just as much. Oh, Supex said you always dropping gems. I appreciate that. Well, if you like the gems I'm dropping, then definitely hit that thumbs up. Oh, and you know what? Somebody told me I got to get better at this. I have enabled my channel for like super stickers and super chats too. That is another way. If you like what I'm saying and doing, you can definitely show support with a super sticker and a super chat. It really means a lot. But I do appreciate y'all showing up and participating, because y'all, as a collective, we just got to do better. We got to do better. One mistake shouldn't cost you your life, but it absolutely could. When I was watching that gentleman's mom, she was in tears because guess what she has to do now? She has, oh, and she said she called Melnick. Of course, his phone is blowing up because he's suspended and he's a part of his name is on this big case, even though his suspension is unrelated to the case. But she said he answered the phone and he ended up, we don't know if the call dropped, but she's like, he hung up on me. And so now this woman who just put 15K on her card for her son yesterday has to now come up with another 15 or 20K to hire another lawyer while she disputes the charge with her bank and waits for it to be reversed. Do you know how much of a headache that is? Think about it, 15 plus. And again, that's not the total cost to do the habeas corpus. That's just the cost to get it started. So basically she has put on, you know, between the two lawyers, the one who just got suspended and the one that she's now going to have to fine again, that's what, like $30,000-$40,000. That's somebody's yearly salary for the year. Y'all, it's really, this is not a game. It's really, really real. Okay, it's really, really real. So, you know, take your time. You can go to my Amazon store. I have it in the description box below. You can look at the book list, and those are some books that you can start reading. Let me share with y'all, in case you do not know. Let me put this down right there where you see my name, hellocamille.com, hellocamille.com. When you go to that website, it's going to take you to my link tree. That will link you to my Amazon store, and I'm going to show you where you can find the book list. This book list right here, hellocamille.com, takes you here, and you can click my Amazon storefront. It is the first link. Some of y'all clicked it from the last live stream, and I saw where y'all bought study materials and different things. So kudos to y'all for following through. Once you click to come to my store, this is how the store looks. You'll know it because my face is right there, right? And then right here, these are the books that I have penned for y'all, some legal books to really get you started. Yes, it is not the most entertaining read, but I'm telling you guys, you have to develop a thirst and a hunger for this information. Once you read it enough and once you understand the power in it, it will be the most interesting thing you will have ever read. Until that point, you're going to have to train your brain, train your mind to really take the time to dig into this stuff, okay? Yeah, because you're going to be amazed. What you think things are, that it's not like that at all. All right, I'm gonna look at the last little comments. There are no more, so I'm going to go. I will talk to you all later. Thank you so much for watching, and that's it. Bye bye.